was Miss Timpanogos. So I've had a few leadership opportunities within those roles, and I was reflecting on what would be the most impactful to share. And then there was nothing that I could take away from those that was really, that I felt could be what the key point was that I wanted to talk about. So I reflected on my job. I am the team manager at my job at Epsilon Dresses, where I oversee the hiring and the scheduling and the training and the payroll. And there's a lot of leadership that goes into that because I'm juggling 13 girls shopping for a prom dress at the same time, and I have to make sure that everything's going well. So there's a lot of leadership that kind of falls on my shoulders in that way. There was nothing that kind of stood out to me or resonated with me as I thought about my job. And so I sat on, when I was an ambassador at Snow College, I was an ambassador at Snow, where I graduated with my associates, and as an ambassador at Snow, I had to give about 50 college tours per week and host on-campus events, and there was a lot of leadership kind of responsibility that I had when I was an ambassador at Snow. And even as I sat on that, there was still just something missing, which brought me to the biggest leadership kind of insight and experience that I have of all, which is the one leadership opportunity that I didn't get. And I'll explain what I mean by that. When I was a senior in high school, or junior in high school, I guess, at Riverton High School, I really wanted to be a student body officer, an SBO. And this was something that I was really excited to achieve, and I really wanted. I moved to Riverton High School. I went to 4 different high schools, so I moved a lot. But when I was at Riverton, I really wanted to have this leadership opportunity of being a student body officer. And I stayed up till 3 a.m. every single night, making posters and working on my campaign to be the student body president of Riverton. And I made my video to be in there, and it's not great looking back, it's probably super embarrassing, but 3 a.m. every night I was making posters and I was working really hard, and I didn't even make it past the first round. There was quite a few of us, and I thought I had a good chance, but I just fell flat on my face. And then I thought, you know what, shake it up, I can do this, I've done hard things before, I can do it again, I don't want to let this be my defeat, I'm gonna try harder. And I tried to be student class officer. So I revamped my posters, I scribbled out the student body and wrote class, senior class instead of student body, and I revamped my campaign, and I gave my speech in front of the school, which I wanted to stand out, so I didn't speak. I actually rapped my speech, which I thought about doing right now, but also super embarrassing, 18-year-old Whitney. But I don't know how to rap. Why did I do that? I don't know. But either way, I really felt like I could have it, and I thought, okay, convincing the senior class, this whole student body was a lot to tackle, but the senior class, I could do that. And I also didn't even make it past the first round. And it was really hard for me. I cried a lot, and I have a lot of confidence in myself. Obviously, that's kind of my whole social impact, but not winning something that I wanted so bad was really hard. And there was a lot that I think that I took away from that, because in order to have a leadership role or a leadership position, you have to face the fact that you might not get it to begin with. And that, I think, is the hardest part to overcome. And that is the vulnerable thing that you really have to get past, is the fear of not getting it in the first place. I'm sure, like the mayor said, when she ran for the mayor, there was a vulnerable moment that you know that you could fall flat on your face. Every competition that I've ever done, there is this little moment where you fear that there is a very large reality that you might not win. And you have to be willing to put yourself out there in order to achieve the thing that you want. And a former Miss USA, I think she's Miss USA 2014, her name is Deshauna Barber, and she said a quote that really resonated with me, is that she says, "Do not fear failure, but please be terrified of regret." And I think the pros and the great things that I've experienced, whether it be being an ambassador at Snow, or having any title that I've held, or being the boss at my job, there are so many things that I gain every single day. But if I didn't have the gusto or the courage to try in the first place, I wouldn't know. And what did I lose from attempting to be the student body president? I mean, I lost in general. I didn't win student body president. But other than that, I didn't lose a thing. And I walked away being a better person because of that. And the only reason I think that I'm able to is because I have confidence in myself, and I love myself. And whether I'm Miss Provo, I don't love Miss Provo. Whether I'm Whitney, former non-student body president, I don't love her. Whether it's Whitney, Epsilon Dresses team manager, I don't love her. I love Whitney because she's Whitney, not because she's any other title. And that's what I think you really have to discover in order to achieve that confidence. I wish that I could just grab and shake each and every one of you and say, "You're beautiful, you're important, you're loved, you're powerful, you're amazing." Because sometimes that's what it takes for me to get up in the morning, is for my roommate to do that to me. But the hardest part is that you have to kind of find it within yourself. And there are a lot of ways that you can do that, and I wish that I had the time to kind of go into each and every single one of those. But there's an acronym that I will use, hopefully you can take away from this, and that's I want you to be a mess. And not literally, because obviously I don't want you to be a mess, but the mess has 4 kind of chunks that go into it. The M stands for manifesting. If you don't have confidence in yourself, you really have to speak it into existence. You have to manifest. Does everybody know what that means, right? Okay, good. I figured around that one. When I speak to middle schools about this, sometimes they're like, you have to manifest, and they're like, no. I'm like, okay, hang on, back up. I'll explain. But really, you have to speak it into existence. When I was going to be Miss Provo, like I said, I'm very confident in myself, but going into Miss Provo, there was a very good chance that I wasn't going to win. I was up against a lot of people, and the ghost of my former non-student body president self was acting out that ugly green beast in my brain. And I was really worried, but I called it my daily manifesto. It was my screensaver. And on it, it had, I am beautiful, I am confident, I can do this, I can do anything. And I would read it to myself in the car. I do a lot of driving, and every time I would look at it, I would kind of have to take a minute to be able to look at it and say, I'm beautiful, I'm powerful. Then I would kind of stop and have to collect, and then I would say, I'm beautiful, I am powerful, I can do this. And I wholeheartedly believe that had I not done that before Miss Provo, I probably wouldn't have been in the right headspace to have won, because I would have had that ugly green monster in my brain. So that is my firm belief that manifesting works. So the M for BMS is manifesting. The E would be empowerment. You have to empower those around you in order to love yourself. You can't, if you don't keep the empowerment in there, then the manifesting gets too strong and you become too caught up in your own self to see outside your orbit. And you empower those around you of people who have things that you don't have, right? I think a lot of the time we tend to see somebody who's really good at something we're not, and we think it reflects negatively on ourselves, if that makes sense. Is anybody in here like really good at basketball? Own it. We can manifest. Anybody good at basketball?
In high school.
See, there you go.
Not now.
What was her name?
Maddie.
Maddie's really good at basketball, right? I am so bad at basketball, like textbook level bad at basketball. One time I had an activity for young women's a long time ago where they said you can shoot it from anywhere, and it took me 77 times to get one shot. So I'm telling you, really bad, right? But I'm not going to look at Maddie and say she's so good at basketball. I'm not. Therefore, I'm. And I think a lot of people who are a little bit older, like my mom's age, they tend to compare and they see somebody who has such a good body or is such a good chef and say, oh, they have a good body, I don't, I need to get back to the gym. Or, oh, she has it all together, she has 5 kids and they all look perfect and I'm not, and we can't do that. We have to have the empowerment that I can say, Maddie's good at basketball and I'm not, but that doesn't make me any less of a person, and I deserve to have confidence in Whitney because she's Whitney. That brings me to the S, the first S of BMS, and that is self-awareness. You have to love yourself for who you are and not for who you're not. And I firmly believe that. I'm never gonna look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm confident in Whitney because Whitney is a patient person, because I'm not. I don't like to wait for things. I don't like to wait in line. I don't like to do that. But I am confident in Whitney because Whitney has a really good memory. I know that Claire's birthday is December 29th. I know that Sasha's middle name is Esprit. I know that the mayor has a son who plays for the Packers and a son that plays for the 49ers. And those are things that I remember because I care about people, and I pride myself and I have confidence in the fact that I have a good memory. But I'm never going to look at myself and say, I'm so good at basketball. Go confidence, I'm going to go try out for the Lakers tomorrow because I'm confident, right? My confidence is rooted in reality, and that's where the self-awareness comes in. I'm not going to be cocky about my abilities or the fact that I can remember my ex-boyfriend's license plate number at the drop of a hat. I'm going to, keep a level head about it, but I know that's probably not one that I should advertise, but I can still remember. And that's something that I'm confident about. And you have to be able to look at yourself and reflect on where your weaknesses are and where your strengths are so that you can truly have the self-awareness to be confident in who you are. The very last S of BMS is service. Obviously, I think this one goes without saying. There is something truly unique and special about having a servant's heart and seeking service opportunities that you can't gain just by manifesting or by recognizing the good in others. When you truly serve the community and those around you, that's where the growth happens, and that's when you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love myself because I'm Whitney, I love myself because I have a good memory, and I love myself because I serve my neighbor. I helped a woman walk across the street, I raised shoes for a shoe drive, because those are the moments that you can truly take away from it. So the next time somebody says, oh, you're a mess, I want you to look at them and say, thank you. Yes, I am. Thank you.